Okay, so here we are. We're finally doing some building. We are in the keyword planner in this particular case. And if you're following the video series, again, Google Ads for Physical Therapists, then you know that we started off by making sure we are tracking conversions, like we're tracking what matters to the business, really important. Then we talked about knowing your goals. So understanding, do you want to target up funnel, middle funnel, lower funnel? What are the goals of the business? And then we talked about patient value, long-term patient value, which informs whether or not we can spend a certain amount on a cost per click basis and get competitive on keywords that truly matter to the business. Now that we understand those important basics, now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of building out a campaign. And the very first thing we do is we look at the keyword universe. Keywords can mean a lot of different things. The keyword universe is vast. They can be research-based keywords. Somebody is just doing exploratory type searching, or they can be navigational keywords. They can also be somebody's like high intent, like they know exactly what they want. So again, it goes back to the goals of what you're trying to accomplish, right? And when we go through our keyword research, we're always thinking about like, where in the marketing funnel is this particular keyword? What does this mean? Is this somebody that's ready to convert? Do they have high commercial intent? Or is this somebody that's just looking for some research? They're doing research, they're looking for some information. Maybe they have a lot of, hows, what's, why, where type questions. So when we do the keyword research, we're looking at a lot of different things, and we're taking down notes, and we're putting things into a Google Sheets document, which I will share with you. We do not build our keywords actually in Google Ads. We do it in a Google Sheets document to make it as organized as possible. It allows us to be able to recognize patterns and apply those patterns to other ad groups, and it allows us to be collaborative with anybody else that's on the team and working together and creating a really nice solid list of keywords. When we build it out within the hierarchy of Google Ads, and again, the hierarchy is campaign, ad group, keywords, we're also thinking in terms of themes, okay? So we want distinct keyword themes to be in tightly themed ad groups. The reason that we do that, and we'll get into this more later, but we want to be able to have them, so in tightly themed ad groups where an ad group might have like 5 or 6 keywords, so we can control the bids on a very granular, distinct level and be able to control the page position based off of those bids. In addition, it allows us to hit the ball out of the park immediately, well, almost immediately, with high quality scores, because we're able to control the relevancy of what somebody is typing in to the ad copy that we're serving. So this is all part of the Google Sheets document that I'll be introducing to you soon. By the way, I make that available. So if you do want the Google Sheets document, the link is in the bottom of the video, okay? All right, so let's talk about keywords. The very first thing that we do, if this is a brand new account, we're going to see how Google sees your physical therapy website through the eyes of Google. Okay, so this is, interestingly enough, the way that we look at when we're building out dynamic search ads within Google, which is another campaign type. They're called DSAs. A lot of it's automated, like it automatically creates ad copy and targeting. So we will put in the URL of the client of the physical therapy practice to see how Google sees the website. And if you've done your job on the SEO side in structuring your data with meta tags and header tags and everything else that goes into creating a good structure on your website, a lot of times Google sees your website in a way that's completely advantageous to keyword harvesting as well. So that's the first thing that we would do. So we would go into, and I'm not going to do it we're going to pretend that we're doing competitive research, but it's the same thing. You would just plug in your own URL, and that's definitely where I would start. So we would go into discover new keywords. And once we're in new keywords, this is where we would say, start with a website. So let's take a look and see what that looks like in this particular example for Paragon. Okay, so we are going to enter in the URL for Paragon, and we can say the entire site, or we can only use this page. Now this is interesting, right? Because Paragon has a lot of different services, not just physical therapy, they also do chiropractic and just a myriad of other services. So you can actually plug in just the, if you have a section of your website that's just for physical therapy, then you can plug that in and say use only this page. In this case, I'm just going to say I'm curious to know what Google sees on the entire website. So I'm going to say the entire site. So let's see what happens. Okay, so this is actually pretty good, right? And it gives you average monthly searches, and it gives you a lot of data here. So we can start thinking about the keywords that we want to target. And you can see at the top here, brand terms like Paragon, Robbinsville, New Jersey, right? And you can see the monthly searches here. Physical therapist, TMJ. Wow, that's a lot of searches. We are actually just focus on the Robbinsville area, which is another thing I would do. Just make sure you have the geo targeting just for the area where you're going to be running ads. But you can see a bunch of different terms here: spine sports therapy, spine physical therapy, sport and spine, physical therapist. Oh, this is the one we already talked about. Physical therapy, TMJ near me. So these are ideas that we can start thinking about. And okay, so we're like going, okay, what are high intent searches versus something that's more exploratory? Part of the process of what we do as well as we're building out these keywords is we'll type them into Google. We'll actually go over to Google and do a search and see what shows up in the search results. Okay, do we get other ads? Is it competitive, or are we getting Wikipedia articles or something that's research based, right? If it's something that's research based, Google's not able to monetize it, so it's a pretty clear indicator that that's what we don't even want to build out around that, right? So we would start looking at this data, thinking again about high intent searches and putting them into, sometimes I just start in a text document just to get organized, just to plug them in and start thinking about themes in my mind as I'm building these keywords out. And you can see as I'm scrolling through, there's a whole bunch, right? We could take this video could be 7 hours long just based off of keyword research, but I'm not going to do that. The point is, here's just a treasure trove of information right off of this particular website. So make sure you put in your website to see how Google actually sees your keywords. Now you can see as I scroll down, some of them are not that great, right? So we wouldn't put like shoulder ache or shoulder relief because that's more upper funnel. And while that could be somebody who's eventually looking for physical therapy help, they're not looking for it now. They might be just looking for, a massager or something else that's related but not specific to the services that you provide, okay? So as you go through this process, you will most likely run into competitor names. And as you do, and as a business owner, you know your competitors, right? So one of the things I would also recommend is to start jotting down the names of the competitors and the URLs, because we're also going to have Google take a look at keywords based off of competitor URLs to get a more refined list. Because there could be things that you're missing. Even though we have your URL here, all websites are structured differently. And there could be a lot of different ideas across competitors in your area. So that's what we're going to do next. I've identified there are two competitors in this particular geo-targeted location. One is called Next Level Physical Therapy. So we're going to take a look at that, and we're also going to take a look at Strive Physical Therapy. So make sure you pick at least 2 or 3 different competitors in your area and then plug them into the Google Keyword Planner to see what types of keywords are showing up and patterns that you can use to build out your keywords. Okay, so now that you've looked at your own website and you've looked at competitors in your area through the Google Keyword Planner, you should have a pretty big list of keywords that you feel are high intent, right? This is where we start thinking about organization, ad group structure, creating ad groups that are thematically built out where they just have a handful of keywords. And again, the reason we do that is to be able to maximize quality score, at least one part of it, which is ad relevancy. And then the other reason is we want tightly themed ad groups with just a few keywords is to be able to control the bidding and the page placement or your listing placement for the keywords that truly matter to the business. If you have ad groups that have way too many keywords in them, you don't have that control, right? You're not going to be able to say, this is my keyword that means the most to my business, and I want to make sure that I am at like the top for that particular. It's just harder to control. So we want to make sure that we have these tightly themed keywords within these distinct ad groups for that reason. So we start on this Google Sheets document. This document has different columns. So we have the structure of Google Ads. And again, check the link below in this video because you'll be able to download this. So we have campaign, ad group, which is the hierarchy of Google Ads. And then we have up to 5 different keywords that we can enter in, right? So we enter them in. And then over here, there are formulas that actually create the phrase match, exact match, and broad match keywords based off of anything that was typed in here. There's also a free form where you can actually just type it into one particular column and it just puts it all together. But I find this is way more organized, just separated by column. And it really allows us to see patterns because we will discover patterns that we can apply to other keyword ideas and just go copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and create a really nice set of keywords that are high intent. As you know, when we're developing this out, one thing that we do is that we make sure that we go ahead and do phrase, exact, and broad all at once. Now, we don't deploy with all 3 of them. In fact, we deploy, as you'll see shortly, with just exact match because our goals in the very beginning are to drive quality conversions for the physical therapy practice. And we do that with exact, even though the exact's not what it used to be. Exact has a lot of close variants, which can be tricky at times. It's as close as we can get as to like highly targeted keywords, right? And driving those quality conversions. So we will preload Google Ads with all 3 match types. Okay, so we're going to load these all up later on to the Google Ads editor. And then we just pause the phrase and we pause the broad and we go live with exact only. But this particular spreadsheet allows us to start thinking about these thematic ad groups. So you can see back doctor here. Back doctor near me, back doctor Robbinsville, back doctor chiropractor. These are chiropractic terms. Let me just go down to, because we did a build for both chiropractic and physical therapy. But you can see physical therapy, physical therapist, best physical therapy, best physical therapist. These are, we probably didn't have to do both because they're very similar, right? But we just wanted to see what the data looked like by doing both. So we have, best PT therapy, orthopedic physical therapy, best orthopedic. So there's a whole bunch here that gets built out, which gives us, again, that granularity and tightly themed ad groups. Now, do we launch with all of them? Not necessarily. There are times where we go, okay, we have these particular ad groups that we know perform best. And depending on the budget, that's where we make that determination. We might actually just launch with a handful of ad groups where we have the best possible chance of succeeding in getting those quality conversions in the account. If we have a very large budget, then we'll deploy across many different ad groups. But if we're dealing with a finite number, then of course we're just going to select the ad groups that we feel have the best shot at generating those quality conversions. And again, the quality conversions, this is why we talked about conversion tracking. The quality conversions are the signals that we need to be able to inform Google as to what success looks like. And we're going to be using that to drive additional conversions through target CPA, for example, using broad match keywords, right? So broad match is held in check by target CPA. But the first goal is to make sure that we do everything we can to get as many quality conversions into the account as possible, which is why we do this exercise in finding the right keywords and then organizing and structuring them into a Google Sheets document, and then moving it, in our case, into the Google Ads editor for the final build out and then pushing it live. Okay, so if you're finding value in this, and I hope you are, make sure you press that like button because we're just getting started and we don't have a lot of likes. So please press that like button, and we're going to talk next about account structure and how we actually structure campaigns for physical therapy practices. All right, good stuff coming. All right, thank you.